and indeed historic election as a country. The outcome of that election was sealed by the election court. Now, we believe what is important right now is that we have peace, love, and tolerance as a cornerstone for our country. Let's all remember that peace enriches our communities and individual lives, and it directs us to embrace diversity and support one another to the fullest extent possible. Through caring, generosity, and fairness, we provide a cornerstone for attaining sustainable, just, meaningful, and fulfilling personal and community life and the growth of our economy. We believe never should we allow Zimbabwe to drift back into the backwaters of regressive development. We have lost a decade in which we lost capacity and our country joined the ranks of the poorest communities in the world. We have the opportunity now as Zimbabwe to improve ourselves, to chart a new path based on our combined strength. Political orientation, we submit, should never be an instrument for division, hurt, and intolerance. Our diversity ought to be a source of continuous improvement. To my extreme right, I have got Dr. MUNYEZA. We occasionally play golf together. I will not disclose what normally happens, but funny enough, someone normally loses, someone wins in that matchup. But what I find quite strange is when he loses, or if he loses, he's usually the loser between us. I'm using loser loosely. Strangely, is the one who usually calls up for the next matchup. Because when you lose in the traditional sense, you are supposed to run away from people who are causing you pain. But what that demonstrates to me is to play a game, to be sharp in whatever you're doing. You need people who are playing with you in the game. And we don't have to be enemies, because out of that diversity comes strength. So this idea that we must have a winner take all creates a problem. And we begin to think that we are mutually exclusive. We submit we don't have to be. When we were looking at the submissions of the presidential candidates or their parties, President Mnangagwa was promising a middle-income economy by 2030. MDC was promising a $100 billion economy. But I believe as Zimbabweans, these are not strange things that should fight. Why should we have this or that? We can have this and that. So, in our view, as CEOs, we believe unity will deliver economic growth, which peace-loving Zimbabweans yearn for and deserve. There is a compelling reason to embrace the facets and dreams of all electorates and collectively fight poverty, unemployment, and grow the economy by working together. We must look at each other as allies, not as enemies. And we believe that will set a very good base for the new era. And we are here and we're pleased that you've been able to come so that we can build those cornerstones and make suggestions to the power that be of the 10 things that we think need to be done. So it is our hope that as we walk through, out of these contributions, we'll be able to pick up 10 items which we'll be able to put before the leaders in terms of what we expect. Without wasting any more time, I will introduce my panelists to the team line. Dr. MUNYEZA, who is a pastor and a businessman. A round of applause for him. We also have Professor Tony Hawkins, a renowned economist, who has been with the market and has a wealth of experience. A round of applause as well. We also have Colonel GARIRA, Director of Military Industry, who has been kind enough to join us. And to my immediate right is the chairman of the CEO Roundtable, Mr. OSWELL, who is an economist in his own right. Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. Can I invite you to the podium so that you can give us a few words?
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. That's more like it. I stand before you, a motivated individual, a proud Zimbabwean, and certainly an optimistic one. I remember the last time we were together, for those that made it, we made sure that CEOs and their families leave Harare, go to one of our national endowments, a Nyanga resort, on the golf course. And one thing that came out clearly is that as much as we as CEOs interact, our families never do. We realized that families were interacting now on the other side of it. I think Zimbabwe needs to now start to recalibrate itself, move away from the crybaby mentality and locate itself appropriately. We have done a breakfast meeting on financial market distortions. We did Bulawayo and Harare. We also did the Companies Act review to make CEOs understand what it means for businesses, the multiplicity of interpretations that were coming up, and we indeed had the responsibility to ensure that we understand it better. I'm a lucky Zimbabwean colleagues because I was born and I was part and parcel of those people that were close to the liberation struggle. Though young at that point, but I think I got first-hand information of exactly what happened in my area. We went through independence and its celebrations. I can vouch, I was one of those people who were quite optimistic at a very young age. I was lucky to be trained by the Ministry of Industry, Ministry of Higher Education. Actually, my first best qualification, I'm a fitter and tenant. From there, I'm proud to say that I created an organization. I was the first employee, and my first tool is my toolbox. Obviously, we went through a lot of things, land reform, hyper inflation, inclusive government. I'm standing before you today, we are talking about the Second Republic. So in my lifetime, I've witnessed things that any other country in the world will wait centuries to experience. And I must say, I'm very lucky Zimbabwe. I'm now an authority in all these areas. Doesn't matter whether I can be able to write or vouch about them. As the round table today, we now are stuck with a reality. A reality which says that the political question has finally been answered. We've been stuck in the deep waters of regressive development for too long. For too long, we have always hoped a political solution will deal a final blow to our economic challenges. Today, in so many years, we stand a better opportunity to chart a new path based on our combined strengths. We stand an opportunity to locate the Zimbabwean dream we ought to trace to its roots. This dream can only be realized first through a clear national vision, notwithstanding the rigors of preceding unsuccessful attempts. We voted, we listened to the manifestos and campaign messages. At this point, we ought to become fully grounded on the magnitude of the tasks ahead of us all, and that we can collectively develop the solutions for them. Zimbabwe needs a platform to earnestly fight the scourge of corruption, grow the economy significantly, enforce fiscal austerity, and reposition Zimbabwe as a credible investment destination within the global community. It is high time we decisively deal with the severe ills in our society, which include but are not limited to corruption, sense of entitlement, and the work ethic. It is high time that we embrace work as a true and godly means of accumulating material wealth. We urge colleagues to urgently deal with the economy with a long-term view of building a resilient economy capable of supplying the goods and services that our people so desire at the correct price. This does not require the government's solo effort. Rather, it will be accomplished through collective effort underpinned by entrepreneurship, business, and ingenuity of you business people and chief executive officers. To do this, we need to exchange, dialogue, and converse on an open platform and cross-fertilize our ideas in a manner that puts our economy on the global map. The economy is projected to record positive growth for the year 2018. Overall economic growth is forecast at about 4.5% for the year on the back of a significant agriculture and mining sector growth. If I have to go back to the 2030 vision, I think 4.5% is not good enough. We need double-digit growth so that we can become at least an upper middle income country by 2030. Recovery, however, remains fragile across all sectors, hamstrung by several factors. Preliminary indications are that major sectors of the economy are likely to record positive growth, but at levels much lower than the potential growth. Entrenching macroeconomic fundamentals and strengthening capacity recovery requires a marked paradigm shift by all stakeholders. In anticipation of the new cabinet, what is the message that we need to send to His Excellency? What is our expectation? Shall it continue to be business as usual? We are here to coin a special message to the President and the new government, inform him of our expectations. I'm going to challenge you, colleagues. Chief executive officers are running critical portfolios. You are making very important decisions that affect directly and indirectly the well-being of Zimbabwe. You are the economic ambassadors of this country. For a long time, we've allowed politicians to, in all sense, intents and purposes, overcrowd everybody out of the playing field. We have been on the table, not at the table. It is an opportunity, now that Zimbabwe is open for business, to reclaim our position ourselves in such a way that we, in the best way we can, influence the trajectory of this country. We want a competitive Zimbabwe. We want to see a Zimbabwe that we will always be proud of. Let's have frank discussions. At the end of the day, we need a 10-point message which we shall gladly deliver to His Excellency. With those few words, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to this breakfast meeting and certainly take off your gloves. Let's agree, let's disagree, but if we do disagree, let's disagree agreeably. I thank you so very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bina. Another round of applause for that. I like the sense of agreeing disagreeably. And I think, look, the pen is in our hands, and we've got a clean piece of paper. We should be able to write and write boldly and clearly in terms of our expectations, because we too, they've got a claim to this country, because that's all we know. But no one is going to deliver it to us unless we craft it clearly. Someone once said, the mind cannot make a difference between reality and something that is vividly imagined. So it's up to us to imagine the Zimbabwe we want and communicate that very clearly. Without wasting any more of your time, we would like just to give a big round of applause to Medbank, who are a roundtable member and sponsored this. If we can please thank them for that. But I would also like to call upon the representative for Medbank to come and make a short presentation of what they stand for and what they do in the Zimbabwe they would like to see. A round of applause.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pamela Muzenda. I'm the head of Trade and Export Finance at Medbank. At Medbank, we pride ourselves in being an innovative bank. And what do I mean? We are not the kind of bank that has a one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to banking. We listen to our clients, what they want, and we tailor-make solutions just for you. And also, we have decided as a bank to have an approach where instead of sometimes just capacitating one client, we are looking at the whole value chain. So you'll find, I'm sure you've read in the papers what we have done with the Grain Millers Association and what we are also currently structuring for the Oil Expressors Association of Zimbabwe. And you have also read about our partnership with the Zimbabwe Miners Federation, where we are partnering them as it's a strategic alliance, so that we try and capacitate our small to medium scale miners. That's the kind of bank that we are. But we also work with individual corporates. To those of you in the room who are banking with us, we would really like to thank you for your valued custom of banking with Medbank. And to those that are not banking with Medbank, we are kindly requesting you to see us, myself, or or visit our branch at number 3 Central Avenue, because you will actually be surprised at the experience that you will find when you come and bank with Medbank. Over and above our usual vanilla banking products, like your corporate banking, investment banking, and retail banking, we recently launched the Trade and Export Finance Center, which is at Arundel, number 30 Arundel School Road. This is the place where we'll be servicing all our existing and potential exporting clients. The Trade Center is actually somewhere where if you are an exporter and you need certain services or information, you can come and see us. If you are traveling and you want to know something about the market where you are going, and you are our client and you tell us, I actually want to travel to this market, we can do what we call a competitive intelligence brief for you, and we give you that just for your information. We also, if you have meetings that you want to hold, but you don't want to hold them in town, and you need somewhere where you can meet privately, maybe with your investors or your clients, our Trade and Export Finance Center will be able to host you there. And over and above that, we have a team of very friendly officers who will be able to serve you both in the bank and at our different branches. We have a branch network of about 5 banks, and the reason being now banking is more on the go, online in your offices than brick and mortar. So to cut our costs, we have actually scaled down on our branches. So ladies and gentlemen, Medbank is a bank that's waiting to surprise you. So please come, let's do business together. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Pamela, and we really value your contribution as a bank and your innovative solutions in terms of managing the whole chain as opposed to individuals. So we are ready for the surprises. In this new era, I think it's a good thing to be surprised. Because I think our history in service as a country is a major issue. Anyway, without wasting any more of your time, the format of what we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is I will give each of our panelists about 5 minutes to address us in terms of the post-elections and the opportunities they see. And I will just be moving from
good evening.
Right to my left. I've just had a message from Professor Maduku that he is going to go into a chamber application which is urgent, so he won't be able to join us. So once our panelists have done their 5 minutes, we'll open it up to the floor, and we're out there to try and get 10 items that you feel strongly about, which we, through the roundtable, will be able to communicate to the President. Without wasting any more time, allow me to ask Dr. MUNYEZA to open up the conversation with his 5 minutes opening remarks. Dr. A round of applause, please.
Thank you very much, Chair, for this opportunity. Good morning. I'm going to be very quick. 5 minutes is a long time in a lifetime. I've got 7 things that I think are critical in going forward. The first one is that we need to ascertain competence, and our government needs to ascertain competence across the board, starting with the executive and also going to government structures, ministries, SOEs, state-owned enterprises, and so on and so forth. And just do a skills, or I would call it a competence audit, because sometimes I think we're so delusional now when we talk about skills. I'd rather talk about a competence audit that says, look, are you capable, are you able to deliver on this sort of mandate? So it must be done at an individual level. It must also be done on a team level. And what sort of competencies do we have in this team? And altogether, can we deliver on this? For example, there's a debate that is going on about the new cabinet. It must be a cabinet that collectively delivers to what the people want at this point. But individually, they have to be people who can stand on their own and be able to do that. The second thing is unity. This is not in any order of importance, by the way. And then in unity, you cannot unite a nation until we are healed. Our nation needs healing. So the NPRC and indeed the executive and all structures of society need to get together and get ourselves onto that healing path more aggressively. And it's important to note that there is no healing without truth. Well, there's no healing without justice, and there's no justice without truth. So it's important that all those components are addressed. That means truth and justice. And that we come together and deal with the issues in a manner that does not create new reprisals or new wounds. And also, in terms of unity, we have to model and behave in a manner that embraces our diversity. We don't always have to conform to a certain pattern, but we have to embrace one another with the same directional progression. The third thing is execution. Once you've established this, execution is important in that our culture is activity. at the moment. We just run around and do all sorts of things, but we need to execute. We need to deliver. There must be productivity in our execution on our economy as well as on our rights and freedoms. The two walk together, by the way. The fourth is effective policy. Effective policy here, I'm talking about that which will make it easier for doing business, and that makes doing business in our country much more predictable and also efficient and effective. That will bring not only just foreign direct investment, but the local investment. The local entrepreneurs must be the first ambassadors to tell the foreigners to come in, because there is lots of money to be made in Zimbabwe and there is ease of doing business here. So whilst we're opening up for business for everyone else out there, it must be very clear that the local entrepreneurs are singing the same song. If they are not singing the same song, it is unlikely that we will attract foreigners if we are not, or credible foreign investment. The guys that will come will be vultures, and they will take everything whilst we watch. The fifth is transparency. Transparency here and accountability. We keep talking about corruption, and it becomes a song that everybody loves to say. But to deal with corruption, we have to embed transparency and accountability. And that's one of the things, whether we're using ICTs, structures, policy, holding leaders and authority to account. So it's a transparency and accountability. It must be a behavior, it must be practice, good governance in that. So transparency and accountability is the whole issue about good governance, which there's a policy out there already. The sixth thing is constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is the behavior under the law and the constitution of the country, and that allows people to at least know that there is not going to be impunity. We must see that alignment of the laws, particularly the outstanding laws that are still to be aligned to our constitution. We need to see that done almost immediately. So we don't have another 5 years of talking about aligning laws. We don't have a lifetime to align our laws. This can be done by a quick process and make sure that it's behind us and people are living according to the law and according to our constitution. 7, and the last thing from me, and this is not exhaustive, 7 is the rebranding of a country. We need to rebrand this country. When all these things are happening, there must be a real desire to rebrand where we are, where we are going, who we are, our values, our vision. And I know there's a lot of talk about common vision, common values, common this. It is all about rebranding ourselves. We are not known for good things. Let me just tell you, we go out there and we always think that the world owes us. They don't owe us. One of the questions we've got to ask ourselves is that when we're saying open for business, what was the problem? Was it because people were trying to get into Zimbabwe and were stopping them? Or was it because, or is it because that we were being very unfriendly and therefore people didn't even think that they should come here? Because part of that then formulates our strategy. Our strategy, if it is to say, look, we were a bad group of people in terms of a global economic play or business play. So what should we do? That then speaks into our rebrand. More than just going out there and say, please come now. Because people still say, I'm not coming there because you're still like this. So we need to rebrand, we need to change the way we do it, and we need to change the way people see us. And then once we change the way people see us, we don't even need to go out there and tell them. They will stampede themselves to come here. So part of the exercise we need to do, if we talk about open for business, is to look inwardly first. Deal with ourselves. Shouting to people to come is almost like, a guy bullying the street and saying, okay, you guys, I'm not bullying anymore. Trust me. But you're seen beating up your wife again, or your brother again. I mean, those are the sort of things that, no, I'm not talking to you. For example, what happened on the 1st of August need to be dealt with immediately, because it took us back to October last year. God bless you.
Thank you, Dr. MUNYEZA, for your 7 points, and I like the idea of ascertaining competence. And as an accounting professional, we used to call it taking stock, where you sit and you actually say, where am I? What am I good at? What do I have? What don't I have? And one of the key things as well that we struggle with, and I completely agree, is the whole idea of execution. I think we must be up there in the world in terms of the number of blueprints that we have of the things we always promise that we're going to do. But when you follow through, there is not much that happens there. But before I come to Professor Tony Hawkins as an economist, can I ask you, Carol, coming from the military, where there is discipline, and I think if there's one thing our country needs, is discipline. Walk on the roads, look at the intersections. Now it's almost a jungle. What do we need to do? What, in your view, are the 7 things that you think we need to address? We've got to understand competence, we've got to heal ourselves so that we can talk to each other, we must execute, we have to be transparency, and obviously there's constitutionalism and rebranding. But when you sit, from where you sit military industry, and when we say military now, we go back to restoring legacy and other important things. But what do you think?
Always yes, but I've forgotten to yes. Thank you very much. I'm not speaking for the military. I am here as Ken of GARIRA, an individual, a citizen of Zimbabwe who wants to contribute to the development of Zimbabwe. I'm not a spokesperson of the Zimbabwe Defense Force. So when I express myself, I'm expressing myself from what I've gained. Obviously, over the years I've been in the military and what I've been trained in to understand. I am sure I'll be given the other opportunity to say something in the 5 minutes that you have said. So I will only respond to what you have asked me. I want to respond on 2 points. One which is not really military, and one that relates to the issues that we have talked about, that relates to us as military, but not necessarily speaking for the military, but for myself. I want to respond to what the doctor said in relation to unity. The military is actually the producers of peace. Make no mistake about it. Without your military, you have no peace. That is our product. Sometimes I listen to people denigrating either the military or smelling the military, but I've always asked myself why we do that when we know that it is those individuals who really put their lives on the block to make sure that we have peace. But that doesn't mean we should not be sensitive to the needs of our people. That is not the case. But as an organization, that's what we do. But like I said, it is my knowledge. It is not, I'm not speaking for the military. So yeah, we need that peace. We need to reach out to each other. We need to embrace our diversity and identify points of convergence, because we cannot always agree. One thing that makes me angry about Zimbabwe is that once someone who is sitting in some very important office says something, we run with it without understanding it. And that sometimes is what takes our country very far from where we should be. The other point I want to respond to, so that I give others time, relates to corruption that the doctor has talked about. I've always asked myself this question. I've never got an answer. Do we really need an anti-corruption commission? Doesn't that presupposes that we are corrupt? Should we not have something different from anti-corruption, but doing something that will take our country forward? I would want to propose that we should have a transparency commission. A commission empowered to stop anyone and ask them to account for what they have and give the honors to the person to prove that what they have, they got it transparently. They can account for it. My personal belief is that this is the way we can clean the whole young generation to do the right things. For now, the young generation believe that there are a lot of people who are rich, who are thieves. I was listening to one program the other day. Someone was talking about what we call this people, chiangwas, celebrities. And the young people were saying, no, those are thieves, those are thieves, those are thieves. What does it require us to do as a nation? It requires us to have a policy that will clean their minds. And anti-corruption is not going to. But if we have something that says, account for what you have. We are not saying don't behave what you should have, but account for it. At any stage, you can be stopped to account for it. You do things properly as you move forward. Because, you know, at any stage, you'll be asked. I think on this response, this is what I can say. I will then get my point later that I think I will talk about. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. In terms of, I think a revolutionary idea, I like the idea where you mentioned that military is the factory of peace. And yeah, I think I will leave it at that for further discussion. But I also believe your corruption commission is quite a different way of looking at it. And I think in think tanking, that needs to be explored a bit further and see, do we work on deterrence or prevention? Which one is actually better? And I think here we are. And maybe all that can also be, when we go through the healing process that Dr. MUNYEZA was talking about, these are the issues that we're going to actually uncover. But the elephant in the room, if I can call it that, is really on trial is the economy, Professor HAWKINS, to say, where are we as an economy? Are we at a place now where our economy can move forward? Do we have all the right ingredients? Do we have the pillars that will make this economy grow the double digits that the chairman was talking about? What do we need to do? How did we get here? And how do we make sure we don't lose another 10, 20 billion over the next decade or two? And talk to us about the economy, Professor HAWKINS. Professor HAWKINS, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause.
Thank you. Let me begin by just a quick comment on what has been said so far. Or a few comments on what has been said so far. But let me begin with unity. We're a deeply divided society. Something like 70% of the vote in this last election was from rural areas, which may produce 20%, if you're lucky, of GDP. At the same time, just before the election, it was published that agricultural workers were going to get a 6.7% increase in their minimum wage, which is $80 a month. Civil servants and soldiers are getting between 17.5% and 22%, and their salaries are average around $700 a month. So when we talk about unity and healing, well, there's a good place to start. Let me turn now to the economy. There's no way the economy is going to be an upper middle class economy by 2030. There's no way the economy is going to grow at double-digit rates. To grow at a double-digit rate, you would have to invest something like 40 to 50% of GDP. At present, we invest, and if you go right back over the last 30 years or whatever, we've probably invested on the average 13, 14, 15%. You can't invest money you don't have. You have to have savings. The savings were wiped out, as you know, in 2007, 2008. By the same government, who've just been re-elected, who are now going to change everything. Really? With a track record like that, you have to say it's a triumph of hope over experience. You've seen what they can do, and now you're going to vote and say, well, it's a new dispensation, we're going to start again. Let me talk about the new dispensation. The new dispensation in the budget last year, Comrade Chinamasa said, right, we're going to cut the budget deficit to 3.5% of GDP. Right? Now, you couldn't blame that on former President Mugabe. He'd gone. Comrade Chinamasa said he had wanted to abolish the bonus for civil servants, but the government and not the cabinet had not allowed him to. Now, well, the Treasury published a document at the weekend which shows the budget deficit running at about 12% of GDP, 4 times larger than the minister promised. And the minister agreed, or whatever, to these huge increases to civil servants. Now those increases to civil servants will have knock-on effects right across the economy, because private sector employees are going to say, well, what about us? How come we got left out of this increase? Furthermore, how much is in our own hands? Here, let's pose this question. And let me answer the question for you. At some point in the not too distant future, we're going to have to go to the international community and ask for a bailout of some sort. At that stage, matters are no longer in our hands or in Zimbabwe's hands, because we are supplicants, we are asking others to help us, and they will set conditions. And the outgoing representative for the EU just the other day set out what those, some of those requirements. Now, we have had 3, 4, I've forgotten how many deals with the IMF since independence. Not one of them has been completed. Every time they've broken down because Zimbabwe has failed to meet the terms to which it has signed up. It's not as if they were imposed. We signed up to them. We signed up to ESAP, and we gave it up halfway through. We are now at the stage where we're looking at ESAP 2. It's not going to be called ESAP 2, obviously, because that's hardly a popular thing in this country. But we're going to have to do something about government expenditure. We're going to have to lay off civil servants. We're going to have to slim down parastatals. We're going to have perhaps to privatize parastatals if we can find anybody who wants to buy some of them, because some of them are not terribly attractive from an investment viewpoint. We're going to have to do something about the currency. And one of the most depressing things I've heard in the last few days is how the government is putting together, apparently, or the bureaucracy is putting together a 2-year recovery program a la Stern, as was put together by the last efficient finance minister we had, named Diabetes. And that apparently assumes that we will keep the same currency system for the next 2 years. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I do not think you can have a recovery in the economy with an exchange rate which is hugely overvalued, which is what we have now. If you do the sums on the currency since 2009, the US dollar in Zimbabwe, it's probably overvalued by anything from 50 to 80%. It's no wonder that we haven't created a formal sector job since the 1980s, outside the civil service and private domestic service. We've priced ourselves out of the market through that exchange rate. And that has to be tackled. As we know, there are 2 options on the table. One of them is to join the Rand, which has got various shortcomings and problems, and the other is to go back to our own currency. Go back to our own currency, good idea, some would say, but where do you get the $2 billion that you're going to need in foreign reserves? You can't launch a new country with no reserves, and we don't have any reserves. We need $2 billion to repay the arrears we owe. We then need to go to the IMF. We then need to sign up to an agreement. We then need to have an agreement that will pass the executive board of the IMF. The executive board of the IMF has got the US representative on it who will vote against it under the terms of ZARDINOS. These are the facts, 1, 2, 3, 4. After that, assuming we can get it through the executive board, we have to go to the Paris Club and negotiate debt restructure. In the meantime, the government has been borrowing like there's no tomorrow. We've seen a huge increase in domestic borrowings and foreign borrowings over the last year. All of them contradict the budget that was put on the table by the new dispensation in December of last year. These are the realities. I'm not putting in emphasis, I'm telling you the facts as they are. Per capita incomes now are no higher than they were in the 1980s. 3 million people, plus or minus, have left the country as economic migrants. We have 2/3 of the people living in poverty. We have a formal unemployment rate running into goodness knows what it is. 90% on it, if you believe some of the official figures. Now these are the facts. So what are the messages you want to send to the President? Well, I think the first message is, if you're open for business, you haven't got a command economy. You cannot have a command economy and be open for business. You can have one or the other. Point number one. Point number two, in an open for business economy, the state has got to play a smaller role, not a larger role. The state is overweight in this economy at the present time. We know that. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a budget deficit of $2.5 billion or whatever it's going to be. Thirdly, we need to do something about the exchange rate. The longer we leave the exchange rate as it is, we're going to have the problems we see of a parallel market premium of 70, 80, 90%. If you go through the old mutual rate yesterday was 145%. These are problems that need to be tackled. We need to have a reserve bank that is a central bank, not a department of government, making special loans. Let me give you one of the most nonsensical things that's happening at the moment. If you're a gold exporter, you can export your gold, you get paid most of it in dollars. You can then use those dollars in the parallel market at an 80% premium. Well, thank you very much. On top of that, the central bank is borrowing money offshore at 6% and paying gold miners 10% bonus. I mean, what sort of sense does that make? And a chunk of those gold miners are creating terrible problems, environmental problems, in terms of pollution of rivers and so on, through panning, etc. Now, so I've mentioned a few points that can go to be sent to the President. I shouldn't be taking any notice of any of them. Shrink the size of the state. Abandon command, this, that, and the other. They're not compatible with an open for business economy. Do something about the exchange rate. Tackle the budget deficit. These to me I'm an economist. I don't get involved in talking about esoteric things like corruption and so on. These are the things people seem to like to want to talk about, because they're all things we can talk about. But to actually go through the pain, which is what we're going to have to do. I wrote something which has been published at some stage, and what I did was I set out, I'm going to finish now, what I did was I set out where we were in 1991 when we had ESAP 1, and where we will be in 2019 when we have ESAP 2. And every single indicator is a hell of a lot worse now than it was then. In other words, the pain is going to be worse going forward than it was then. And we couldn't take it then. Well, we'll wait to see. We're prepared to take it this time. But I do think, on one very final point, you know, and this is a more philosophical point, that someone like Lavmo Maduka should have spoken about rather than me. But the current literature in the modern economy is all about the us and them economy, not unity. Whether this is a good or a bad thing, I mean, if you're with Trump, you're that group. If you're against Trump, you're another group. Deeply divided society. In the UK, are you a Brexiteer or a Remainer? Deeply divided society. And you can say that in many other parts of the world. And this, I think, is the reality we have to look at. I think pursuing unity is pursuing something, I'm afraid, that is not really attainable in the modern world in which we live. Because different people have different interests. If I'm a farm worker and I'm told I can have 6.5% while the civil servant is getting 17.5%, I'm going to say, hang on, chaps, what's fair about this? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Hawkins. I mean, look, let's get down to it. The fulcrum of your presentation. The peak of this thing is, I mean, government expenditure.
I'm sorry.
It really goes down to government expenditure. To the extent to which you are consuming that which we don't have, and you've got a big civil service that you are pulling, and in there you throw in a couple of sector enterprises that are not making money. I don't even know whether you have enough to even talk about currency. Because whatever currency you use, in my book, is simply a medium of exchange. And as long as you haven't got the stewardship to be able to look after that which you have, you will continue definitely to have a problem. So, but very, very interesting, and especially at the philosophical level where you begin to say, look, on one end we're talking unity, on the other the world is breaking down into pieces. It becomes very interesting to say, so what do we do? Before I open it up to the floor, Chairman, have you got any words you would like to add to the pregnant discussion we are having?
Thank you, Director. I think one thing that I would probably want to tell the colleagues is that facts are stubborn. And as CEOs, we must be able to deal with the number crunching and look at the Zimbabwe picture on the basis of facts. So as we develop the 10 points, yeah, cosmetic issues are good to buttress certain points, but I think let's just get the facts so that as we go to the highest office, we are encouraging him to look at the actual picture rather than semantics. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think let's keep at that and see how that develops. The catch we have is we as human beings, we do have an emotional side. And if that is ignored, sometimes you go around in circles. And I identify with what Dr. MUNYEZA was talking about in terms of some of these healing, some of these things. You cannot move forward without dealing with some of the serious issues that you have got, and then you move forward. But allow me or indulge me 2-3 minutes. You didn't give us your points. May I ask that you give us as briefly as you can, 2-3 minutes, before we open up to what I can see is a very anxious audience. They want to dig into this very quickly. But I think it won't be fair to go to the, before we process also your meal. What have you got in your plate? As briefly as you can.
Director Selman, thank you very much. Of course, I want to try to understand your discrimination. 5 minutes for one person, 3 minutes for the middle person. It presupposes that the middle person must be as brief as possible.
No, the military person has hit 5 minutes already. In fact, he's hit more time than everyone.
No, no, the military person has been caught unaware. I want
Sorry.
to. No, sorry. I want to get out of the box and using the normal or the jargon that is there and become big in terms of economy. That's exactly what I want to talk about, what the professor has just alluded to. But I'm not going to talk about the numbers that he is talking about. I'm talking about currency. I want to think that currency, I take off from the premise that it is not just a store of value, but I take it as a tool in the hands of our monetary authorities, a tool to orchestrate, a tool to leverage and even manipulate national resources for national good. If you don't have that tool, you are not going to make an economy. I do understand the reasons that we had to have a multi-currency system. I actually call it the currency prostitution system. Currency prostitution because they're using everything, and you cannot build an economy using multi-currency. So here I want to talk about a strategy to migrate from the multi-currency system to a single currency and eventually to our own currency. How do I see us doing it? I am seeing us doing it through a concept. In fact, it's a traditional strategy called GARIRA. It's very important to use our traditional knowledge values to project ways in which we can do our things. What is GARIRA? In essence, GARIRA means that one who doesn't have requires to marry. He goes to the late he wants and asks his father that he works for the lady for a period of time, after which he has a family. It's a perpetual strategy. It's a strategy to make sure that your family exists forever. Those who are very biblical, who remember the Jacob issue, when he went to work for his wife. So that's what I'm talking about. And no one can really say for sure, as we're sitting here, we don't come from a demographic concept. What does it entail in practice? It entails us going to a particular country, talking to that country, and ask that country that we use their currency for money. It doesn't entail us just picking a currency to use as we've done with the multi-currency system. The disadvantage of using the multi-currency system in the manner that we've done is that it is a tool we cannot control. It is better we know we are using his tool and we can use it to orchestrate our own resources to develop our economy. But what sort of country should we be looking at? Who can help us? We must be looking at not an upper economy because they will dictate to us. We must be looking at a country that has something to benefit by assisting us. We must be looking at a country that cannot be easily manipulated by the big powers. Because whether we like it or we don't, we will always have people who are working against us. He has just alluded to ZimdiTv. So any country that is open to be manipulated by the big powers will not help us on money. And on the other, if we are going to rely, like he has indicated, on the established multilateral institutions like IMF, World Bank, even African Bank, we are not going to get anything from them because they've been established for problems or to solve problems different from the problems that we have. Even IMF, when it was, I think when the former Soviet Union crumbled, the IMF actually created a special fund to develop market economy in former Soviet Union states. But you see, what then did we see? When we decolonized, there was never fund or any program put across to make sure that we develop our economies. So in this sense, what I'm trying to suggest to us here, with the time that have been allocated, is that let's move away from thinking that there's going to be someone from the multinational institutions to help us. Let's look for ourselves, for a person who can help us. Let's look for a big brother who can help us to move out of the woods. Once then we are out of the woods, we'll be able to do what we want. Let's use that currency that we can get as a launchpad currency for our own currency as well. What are we talking about here? Because once we have been able to use this currency to build our economy, we will then be able to use it to launch our own currency. When these people come, they should not just bring their things here. We must also ask them to develop industry, which is one of the major aspects of Temogari. Because we will use from this country, which is a manufacturing base that is good, we will be getting things from that country instead of importing things from all over the world. We will only be getting things from this country. So we can also reserve our foreign currency for the important things like retooling, because we are now trading on similar local currency. The only institution that will be subordinated to this country is the Reserve Bank, which also will help to build confidence, because right away the nation has no confidence in the monetary authorities. But when they know that there's someone who is overlooking what they are doing, that confidence can be built. And it is my hope that with time, we'll be able to be out of the woods. Otherwise, using the formal system, the economy that we've always been studying, it will not happen. Unfortunately, I will protest that I was robbed of time. Thank you very much.
You forgive me, but I think you also introduced a very interesting idea of Temogari, and I think it's a concept that goes way back into even the biblical times. And let's see how the audience interacts with this idea alongside the other innovation that you have come up with is the corruption. Instead of corruption commission, we have a transparency commission. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we've got it out on the table, the 7 or so things that we've got. From my point, I see there are some soft issues we've got to deal with. There are also some hard things, which are some hard numbers that we can have. Somebody, you know, famously said insanity is when you continue doing the same thing, but expect different results. And when you look at our economy to a large extent, there are certain rules that have got to be understood. As long as you're talking about the economy, you can innovate around certain areas, but there are certain hard facts that you've got to be able to manage and deal with. If you are spending what you don't have, you have a problem at some stage. And without complicating too many things, if we can't get those fundamentals right, I feel we are on a sliding slope. But that's not for me to say. Allow me to now open up to the floor for comments and reactions. My hope is that you will comment on what has been said, but are also quite free to add to the 10 points that you think, if you were the one given the charge of tending this country, what are the things that you actually want done? We've got roving mics. Okay, fantastic. Okay, we have a hand up. Mr. Kanige. Any other hands so that we have, then that one can, yeah?
Yes. Thank you very much. Wait. much, Mr. Chairman. My name is Mnangagwa, President of Harare. I have a question. First, actually, I wanted to, the 7 points which were raised by Pastor Dr. MUNYEZA, I agreed with them, especially the issue on the truth and justice. I think it's important, and the issue of rebranding of Zimbabwe. And then it ties up to the presentation or comment by Colonel GARIRA, where he said that the military is a factory of peace, and also complained that we denigrate, sometimes we denigrate the military. And also he mentioned that the military risk their lives, and I totally agree that they risk their life. But I think going back to the whole issue of rebranding Zimbabwe, a lot of things happened. On the 1st of August 2018, people were shot. Officially, I think 6 or 7, but unofficially about 10. And we all saw that the people who were shooting the people were armed people. And I ended up myself being involved and saw people who were shot and injured, and some with bullet in their head. And when I asked them and interrogated them, they said that the people who shot them were in military uniform. These were ordinary people doing their own business. And so I wanted to say to the colonel, it's not denigrating the military. What happened on the 1st of August was the military using their guns, killing innocent people, doing their own business. And I think what is important is truth. You know, how do you rebrand Zimbabwe with those things? First, you must accept that problems did arise. And I think we need to move on, and I'm glad that the president said there's going to be a commission. But the fact of the matter, we like our military, but on the 1st of August, our military or rogue elements within the military killed innocent people. And it becomes a problem when you want to rebrand Zimbabwe. And I think it's one of the points going forward for the president is we need to deal with those issues and similar issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, I think we'll be quite smart about it. Let's move to the next table and see if there's a question. Right next to where you are, Zandra. The next table is to your B. Yeah. We'll go table by table. If there's none, it's okay.
Well, thank you very much, Chairman. I'm bringing an item which is quite different from the speaker next to me here. Really, just building on what Dr. MUNYEZA put across, I think the issue of success factors is the pillar of moving forward. And the point I would like to add there is really an issue of standards. We climbing a ladder to the second level, which we all want to believe as a manner. And then the process of climbing up, we know what happens, you expose yourself. And so we need to make sure that the essentials are really covered when we do that. As we move across in the region, I think we've all had those experiences. We've had economies that have had fantastic growth rates, 15+%, and those who have gone out into those countries for the first time, they've come back quite dejected by the quality of infrastructure and the physical evidence for a progressive economy just have to be attractive. For those in industry, we know rework is very expensive. When we move around now and look at some of the roads that are being done, I think those who may have had a chance to pass through Maupa, a contractor there has just done a road, and before it has been really opened up officially, it's being it up again. So what I'm just saying here, that from industry point of view, let's make sure that we receive and make sure that a new investment coming to this country, we put into place robust infrastructure, we put things that work. If you go around Europe, UK, you'll find buildings that are still being used today that were put up really in the 14th century and way back. They are still intact. So I think that whole issue of standards needs to be looked at beyond just the standards association we have today, what is part of the investment coming to the country.
Thank you very much, sir. I think the next table, and if I can ask that you try and make your contribution start with either a question or comment, very briefly, so that we can go around all the table. Basically, almost a minute in terms of the contribution, so that we can also then have feedback from our panelists.
Thank you. Mine is Ndukuti Clarin Insurance. Asset and competence. Currently, most of our ministers are chosen from the groups of MPs. Most of them, obviously, without much knowledge of what they are supposed to do. We should probably move away from that and get ministers who know what they're doing, and leave the MPs to look after the population who voted for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The next table.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you. I wanted to find out how sincere are we as a country in interacting with the issues that have been raised, especially if you listen to what Professor Hawkins talked about, the figures that he was talking about, and the issues that Dr. MUNYEZA raised. How sincere are we as a country to make sure that the issues that we are raising are what we interact with on a daily basis? And also, this is to all CEOs here. What power do you have as CEOs or business to make sure that the recommendations that you're going to make and send to the highest office on the land are going to be taken into account? Is it going just to be recommendations and you end there, or there's something that you're going to do to make sure a follow-up? Because I think we have seen that in the past, recommendations are made, nothing is done, and they die a natural death.
Thank you. So the panelists are taking notes.
Thank you. My name is Andrew Makoni. I'm a local attorney. I'm also the chairperson of the Zimbabwe Election Support Network, and thanks, the elections are over. Before the elections, I attended the launch of a publication by Amnesty International, which was called Breaking Away from the Past. And it was speaking to breaking away from the past human rights abuses. And when I look at that title and bring it to the context of business, I think it is also applicable to say, as business, we need to break away from the past. And which past am I talking about? I think as business, we've been passive, we've been timid, we've been taking along. We were not, we feared challenging government policy. When a minister is in our midst, we are speaking glowingly about them. We are not challenging how they are doing their work. I think this is the past business must break away from. We must be open, we must be forthright, we must challenge. And I like Dr. MUNYEZA's challenge last week or so, when he was addressing a meeting where the president was sitting, and he was clear to the president to say, you have, your challenges ahead, but if you feel that you are not up to the task, come back to the people and say, here's your country, here's your Zimbabwe, I have failed. So I think we need to be that brave going forward. We must break away from that task.
Thank you. Which table are we on now? I think the same one. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Mnangagwa, Corn Plant Technology. I've got a question to Colonel GARIRA. I heard you trying to spec a country which you should turn to as Zimbabwe for currency to use. but you are saying this country must be free from these multinational institutions so that it won't be bullied or succumb to their expectations or to their demands, especially where we are told USA sits on a certain board way to vote against us because of this idea. But I'm yet to hear from you which country under this sun is free from all those. Then I come to Dr. MUNYEZA. He spoke about competence audit, which my predecessor spoke about here. That reminds me or takes me back to the ancient industrial revolution era, where industries will produce goods for the market without having done a market survey. You see, when we talk of competence audit, I think that the CEO of this country should not actually just look at an array of degrees or a professorship the people have. I think the government of the day should first of all look at the prevailing environment in the country. What type of people or HODs does it need? We know some of the type of the people that he had used, like his special advisor. They are not the type of the people that this country, especially the prevailing environment, would want. So I think it should not be just about the doctors that you hold, but it is the environment before us and the type of the persons that we want. We don't want to trigger happy people. And then I heard our chairman speaking or talking about that facts are stubborn. Yes, facts are stubborn. And if our country was to move forward, I think people will speak their mind, as he has just said, like Professor HAWKINS there, they will be needed to say it and tell it as it is. Shame the devil and name the devil, I think.
Thank you. Well, the middle table. In the powers vested in me, can we have a lady voice?
No, I was. Thank you.
Shoot.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I would like to appreciate all the presenters. I think it was quite some informative talks there, and I'm just going to flag out 4 things. First, to Professor HAWKINS, that we did inherit a dual economy. We have structural economic problems that have never been addressed, and this has held us back as a country. And so while economics is facts, and it gives us the detail of where we stand and what the economic world expects us to perform, how do we factor in the social and the background issues that we did inherit? Because I think these were highlighted in Dr. MUNYEZA's presentation, that these are the things that have held us back from leaping to the next stage of development. So the two, we have to find a way or a solution of bringing them together. To Dr. MUNYEZA, I've got 2 aspects: social capital investment and human capital investment. What direction do you think the country needs to take? I am enthused by the saying that you can almost download anything on Google, but you cannot download human capital. And it did come out clear when you stated competences. But I normally know you not as a person who will just highlight the problems. I think you could have gone a step further and just given us 3 directions. I liked the aspect of Kutema Ukani. And I think like the previous speaker, and I won't belabor the point, I think the battle will be on the choice, 1. The need for a social contract so that we have confidence between the key stakeholders, and business and labor needs to come in and be the spokespersons of the aspects. It's true that this will then be a problem. I don't think it can coexist. I must agree with Professor HAWKINS with command economy. I think that aspect needs to give confidence to the business that you can make business decisions in a predictable environment. So how do we fuse all these expectations so that we make doing business doable in the country? And the last aspect is how to deal with the country risk factors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think on your table there was a hint that I overwrote, and I'm sure I'm forgiven. I hope. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. My name is Dr. Mnangagwa. I work with the African Capacity Building Foundation, ACDF. Thank you for inviting us to this breakfast discussion. We'll refer to some few points that Pastor MUNYEZA had mentioned. The seventh point was about rebranding Zimbabwe. This is just an anecdote. I watched an advertisement on TV one day, and I saw they were branding Zimbabwe, called investors to come. But what they were projecting was Zimbabwe is for safari. I didn't see any building. I didn't see any large street which we have here in Harare. I didn't see any such thing. So in my mind, I say, if I didn't know what Zimbabwe was, I would think Zimbabwe is a forest where you just go for safari. I'm not sure that Africa is what Africa needs. And we in Zimbabwe, we also need African investors. And this is not the image we should show it to them. Now, going to the exhibition, your third point, I really agree with you. In 2011, the African Capacity Building Foundation launched its first African Capacity Report, a flagship, which we produce every year. 7 years down the road, it came that what we really need in Africa is not policies. We have to put in place many policies, but implementation capacity. We really need implementation capacity. Not only to, we don't need just to be designing policy, but we really need to apply them. The first point was about the skills, competency, capacities. In 2015, as part of our contribution to the implementation of the African Union Agenda 2063, we conducted a study on the critical technical skills needed to implement not Zimbabwean policy, but the Agenda 2063. And it clearly came out that Africa really needs these technical skills. So what will be my contributions or my message? So my message is ACDF, being a capacity building organization, the African Union Specialized Agency for Capacity Building in Africa, we have a lot to do to work together to build capacity and to access what are the required capacity. Now, about opening the country, my question to the table is, how do we envisage opening the country to outside, to foreigners outside? I didn't hear this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I guess Gibson, the CEO for the Roundtable, is listened to that pledge in terms of capacity building. And I'm sure a partnership can be there. Because this grouping is of CEOs who are trying to build capacity. How do we make this thing happen? And I like your execution emphasis. The next table.
Thank you, Ken. I think mine are just pretty much a summation of all those, but looking at a perspective where, when you talk about opening Zimbabwe for business, there's been a sense of also shutting out locals who have the capacity and the scope to actually get into some of these parastatals or turn them around and make them something meaningful. And I think as a country we also need to be very cautious on that, to allow our locals to have an opportunity when these things are happening, and to also be able to listen to the perspectives of those locals who come in from very contrary views to what is known or to what we're used to as a country. I think the last of my points is also the aspect of youth. And by that I mean being practical. Most of the youth have lost a number of years in terms of accumulating experience because of where the economy has been going. But within our current setup as CEOs, when you look at the succession planning and when you look at the mentoring capacity that has been happening, it's pretty much minimal. And we're all looking at, oh yeah, we've got human capital which left the country, and that's the skills that have gone. but we haven't done anything to develop the skills that are here, or those that have actually done their tertiary education. They lack the skill, and sometimes it's not about them getting jobs that pay well, but it's just the opportunity, and some are even willing to volunteer. But I think at the end of the day, all I'm saying is, let's also create the scope and capacity for our youth to be involved in everything that we bring from a business point of view and from the governmental